Hi everybody, I'm Rachel Caine and I am so excited to be here because I have been named, or actually this book right here, Rachel Caine, Prince of Shadows, has been named to the Spirit of Texas reading list. And I am so excited because this is a book that I was really passionate about and very engaged in, and everybody told me I was crazy to do it, which is always a good sign, I think. And I'm just so excited that it's getting to be put in front of you, and I hope that you're going to enjoy it when you pick it up. So I'll tell you a little bit about the book. Prince of Shadows is actually a retelling of Romeo and Juliet. Hands up if you hate Shakespeare. Yeah, I see you. I see you out there. The thing about Shakespeare is, I think sometimes as you get older, you like him better. I didn't like him very much in high school, and I hated reading the plays. But what I discovered is that there's so many levels to Shakespeare. There's so many interesting stories and characters, and they stick with us just forever. One of the great things about Romeo and Juliet is how many ways that play can be read, how many situations that go on during the course of that play and those characters. On the one hand, it's a story of revenge. It's a story of action and adventure and grudges. Bloody, horrible, generational grudges. And it's a story of friendship. It's a story about Mercutio and Romeo and his cousin Benvolio. And it's a story of love, of course. But what kind of love is it? And that's what got me thinking. The reason I decided to write this book is that I hadn't thought about Romeo and Juliet much, honestly, in years. And I was writing a lot of other things. But one of the things that really jumped out at me, I was on, of all things, Twitter. Yes, I know. You can find me there, at Rachel Caine. I'm there. And I was chatting with some people on Twitter. And one of my friends said, I need to finish this story about Tybalt. Well, if you haven't read the play, I'm not going to spoil anything, but Tybalt is actually Juliet's brother. And Tybalt is the villain of the play in many ways. And I thought, wow, she's writing a story from an alternate point of view than either Romeo or Juliet, which is the way most people look at it. And I thought, that's such a fascinating idea. Why didn't I think of that? Well, it's too late now. She's doing it. I can't do it because she's doing it. And so I was getting all upset because I had such a great idea and I wanted to write it and I couldn't write it. And then my friend said on Twitter, I mean Tybalt my cat. Yeah, that's what I said. So I immediately tweeted to her and said, by the way, if you were ever planning on writing an alternate Romeo and Juliet, I've got it now. And I ran away and started writing it. I quickly decided Tybalt wasn't the correct point of view for this because, well, spoilers, but Tybalt doesn't have much of a lifespan through the play. But what I wanted to do was pick a character who was almost unnoticed, who was in the background a little bit, but key to the story in most of the important scenes. And I discovered that Romeo's cousin, Benvolio, was in almost every scene that I wanted to talk about. And he's specifically mentioned as being best friends also with Mercutio, and they're in a lot of scenes together. And so I thought, wow, I would love to do this from his point of view. He must know things no one else knows. Because if we only hear it from Romeo's point of view, or we only hear it from Juliet's, we're missing a lot of story. So Benvolio, I decided, needed to have his own life. And his own life involves, frankly, being a kind of rebellious, but quietly rebellious kid. And he has a secret life as the Prince of Shadows, which is a thief. He's very good at it. In fact, he's maybe the best ever thief in Verona. This all takes place in Renaissance Italy, where your family's honor is everything. And frankly, as a young man or a young woman, you are expected to do what you're told, to marry who you're told, and to have the life that you are set out on from day one of your life. So this is his quiet rebellion against this idea that he can't be anything else. Well, he also ends up stumbling over a plot, and I don't want to give too much away, so I'll just say that the love affair between Romeo and Juliet might not be what it appears if you look at it from just their perspective. He sees it differently. And he sees also that it's going to be a very destructive thing, and it is in the play, very destructive. So, this is about him trying to solve this problem that he sees. I got to use a lot of Shakespearean language. I got to really get into the history and the period and all of these amazing lush settings, and I love doing it so much. And I love writing historical things, and I don't get to do it very much, although I'm getting to do it more and more as I go along. So that's probably enough about the book itself. But I did want to tell you how I got started writing. Like many kids who move around a lot, my dad was military. I had a new school every year for the first 8 years of school. So I didn't make a lot of really close friends. I was an interior person. I told myself stories. I read a lot. And I was a really big book fanatic. And one day I was watching TV, I think, and I thought, that show was just wrong. They should have done this instead. And my dad said, why don't you just go write that? And I'm sure he just meant, please leave the room now, you're bothering me. I'm trying to watch my show. But it was great because I went to my room and I sat down with my pen and my paper and I rewrote that story the way I wanted to hear it. And I brought it back to him. And he was so impressed that I had actually gone off and done it. And from that moment on, I really wrote and wrote and wrote. And this was when I was 14. I wrote without ever trying to get published or have anyone read it, really, until I was about 20, 21 years old. And then it still took me another 8 years probably before I was really ready to be published and have people read my stories and pay actual money for them. I love writing. I love books. I love reading. I love movies and television. And I just love creative things in general. I feel like the best advice that I can give if you want to be a writer is read. Read a lot. Don't only read things that you think you're going to like. Just go and pick up a book at random and start reading it. I used to do this all the time in the library, and I learned some amazing things. It's almost like chat roulette for books. Just pick one up, start reading it, see where it takes you. Often you'll go places that you never even thought of or imagined before. Read widely, read often, and then when you're ready to start actually writing, just remember that writing is an art. Like music, like dance, it's a lot like sports. There are a lot of things that take time to really wrap your head around how to do them right and how to do them well and how to do them consistently. So give yourself time and don't be too hard on yourself because there are plenty of people who are going to be hard on you. And that's always true. But you need to be excited about what you're doing. First and foremost, and you need to realize that you have stories to tell. You have interesting things you can bring out for yourself. Nobody's story is the same. Nobody lives in the same world in a real sense. We all have different events, different families, different structures. Tell those stories. Tell any story you want. If I had to give you some final thoughts, I guess I'd say thank you. Thank you very much for listening to my video. And also, I'm very excited about being part of this. I look forward to coming and seeing you in schools this year, and I hope that we will see each other soon. If you have any questions, you can always catch me on Twitter, find me on Facebook, email me through my website. I am always around and doing something. So thank you very much, and thank you very much to the wonderful people who honored me with this spot on the list. Bye.